The Champions League draw is set, and of course, as that brilliant advertisement that they showed us at the beginning kind of showed, it's a new format, completely different competition. It might as well just be a whole new competition. 36 teams this year, and there's no more groups. There's no more groups of 4 teams, 8 groups. That's out the picture now. Instead, think of it as almost like one big league table in Europe. And each team is basically assigned 8 different games. Obviously, there's 4 different pots based on UEFA coefficients, and you play 2 teams from pot 1, 2 teams from pot 2, 2 teams from pot 3, and 2 teams from pot 4, completely randomized by a computer generator that Cristiano Ronaldo so kindly press the button for every single time. Now, let me tell you guys this, chat. I'll be real. Let me give you guys my original thoughts when this kind of happened. I have to be very real with you guys. When I heard that the Champions League was kind of changing its format to this kind of style, I was very apprehensive at first. Personally, because I actually believed the Champions League format the way it was already, I felt like the group stages were starting to get a little boring, and a big reason for that was the smaller teams that were consistently getting into this competition weren't really holding up their weight in the group stage. And the group stage was basically a formality. And even last season, I would say the round of 16 was kind of a formality as well. Every single favorite that was expected to go through, for the most part, went through. And it was only really until the quarterfinals where you got some drama and you got some excitement. However, upon actually seeing the draw and its extent and really seeing the rules explained to me and seeing the potential fixtures, not potential fixtures, the actual fixtures that we can get, which I'm going to pull up right now. Yeah, upon actually seeing the fixtures that each team are going to get and the big games that we're going to be seeing within the first few weeks of the Champions League. Obviously, the schedule is not out, but just seeing the fixtures that we're going to get, I have to be honest with you, chat. Again, I'm somebody that's just going to, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry, UEFA. I actually think this is really, really good. I think you've actually added some spice, some excitement, and some big marquee games from the beginning of the competition, rather than having to see them quarterfinals onwards, or potentially not even seeing them, period. I look at, for example, the first one I'm looking at here, Real Madrid versus AC Milan. Chat, that's a game that, first of all, is between the 2 most successful teams in Europe ever. Milan are obviously 7-time champions. Madrid are on, 15 now, I believe, or is it still 14? I can't, bro, who knows? I lost count a while ago. That's a fixture that we haven't seen in the Champions League since 2010. And yes, that's in large part due to Milan not being as successful, but really, fixtures like that, we should be seeing a whole lot more than once every decade or once every 15 years. PSG versus Manchester City, obviously we've seen that quite a few times, but getting to see PSG play against Man City, Bayern, Atletico, and Arsenal. First of all, I think this is a really, really tough set of fixtures for PSG. I think they're probably the unluckiest team out of all the pot 1 teams, but that's sick, bro. We get to see all 4 of those games from the jump. Bayern getting to play PSG and Barca. Liverpool obviously playing Real Madrid at Anfield and traveling to Milan. Inter versus Arsenal. The last time Inter played Arsenal in the Champions League was that when Henry went to the San Siro and absolutely destroyed them. Crazy. So I actually really, really like this, chat. I have to be honest. It's different. It's going to have to take a while to get used to, because even to this point now, I'm still a little confused about how this is all going to work out. And I have the rules in front of me, right? The official way they stated it. So like I said, think about it as one big table. 36 teams in the table. But each team plays 8 random fixtures, basically. And at the end of those 8 fixtures, the clubs that are ranked 1st through 8th in that table, right? It's like a big mini league. Based on points, the clubs that are ranked 1st to 8th will automatically qualify for the round of 16. They get a bye to the round of 16. Now, the clubs that finish 25th to 36th on points are eliminated. They're out. But the clubs that finish between 9th to 24th on points will go into a playoff. And I guess the winners of those playoffs will also get to play in the round of 16. So, I think it's cool, man. I think it's really, really cool. Like I said, my big issue with the Champions League the last few years is I do believe that the group stage was starting to get a little bit tedious. Most of us, I'm a big football fan, so I watch any game, right? But a lot of random football fans or regular football fans, they weren't sitting down to watch every single group stage, because more time than not, you look at a team like Bayern last year, they won every single game. Real Madrid, you know they're going to go through. City, you know they're going to go through. And let me not say that these teams aren't going to go through this time. Like, they are still favorites to go through. But the fact that to get through, they have to play this quality of team. Like, if Madrid want to go to the next round, they got to beat Dortmund, Liverpool, Milan, Atalanta. Those are 4 tough teams right there. If PSG want to go through the next round, they got to beat City, Bayern, Atletico, Arsenal. Liverpool, they got to face Xabi Alonso, a guy that they courted the entirety of last year. They got to go to Leipzig. They got to play Real Madrid. They got to go to Milan. And it's not, again, I have to emphasize this. That's not to say that these teams are all of a sudden going to crash out. They're still the favorites to go through. But I always thought that the Champions League should really be the best of the best. And you have to prove it. This is proving it. If you have to beat this quality of team to get to the next round, damn it, you deserve it, bro. Damn it, there's not going to be a single team that flukes their way to the round of 16. Because this is the quality that you have to play against. I'm a big fan of this, right? Obviously, the Champions League at one point, it was contested by only the champions of each respective league. That's how close the competition it was before. And obviously, since then, you've seen a Champions League that's 32 teams, top 4 qualifies, sometimes 5 teams from one league qualify. I think that's my only issue with this Champions League draw. There's maybe too many teams. I like the format, I like the concept behind the big table, but perhaps the one thing I can pick at it is there are maybe too many teams. And I feel like we're going further and further away from champions. Like, I don't want this to be a make-a-wish competition. But in terms of the actual concept that you have to beat this caliber of team to qualify, and we get to see this quality of match this early into the competition, I tip my hat to UEFA. I think they've done a really, really good job in making the Champions League a little more interesting than it has been in the last few years. Let's talk about some of the fixtures that we're going to see, right? The potential interesting ones. And trust me, there's a lot of them. Liverpool hosting Real Madrid. Really, really big game, man. Obviously, Liverpool and Real Madrid have played some classics in Champions League finals, in round of 16s, and quarterfinals. This is a marquee matchup right here. And Liverpool and Leverkusen, I'm really looking forward to that, man. Xabi Alonso, first time playing really like marquee Champions League games with this Leverkusen super team, hosting his former team and a team that has courted him for the last year. How is that going to work out? Inter versus Man City. A replay of the Champions League final from 2 years ago. Really, really good. Inter versus Arsenal. Again, another one. Really, really good. Inter in the Champions League have shown, and in knockout competition in general under Inzaghi, they're a really tough team. Dortmund, obviously, it's a rematch of the Champions League final from just last season. They fly to the Bernabeu. Tough game. Leipzig, I just look at them, right? Liverpool, Inter, Juve, Atleti. And I think it's also really important looking at where they're playing these games. Like, they have to go to Celtic Park. That's never an easy game. They're hosting Aston Villa in their first Champions League game in years. Hosting Sporting Club. I look at Barca versus Barcelona, or Bayern versus Barcelona. Bayern have really had Barcelona's number the last decade, I would say. Can Barca get their leg back? Leverkusen, Inter, Liverpool, Milan, Atleti. Damn, that's a tough couple of games for them. What else do we got here? Juve under Thiago Motta, new look team against Pep City. Really, really good game. I'm going to look forward to see that as well too. Arsenal hosting PSG, flying to the San Siro. Wow, man. I'm really looking forward to it. And this is coming from a guy. My team's not even in this competition, chat. I'm a Man United fan. Our draw starts in like an hour. I'm really looking forward to this Champions League this year. Hansi Flick versus Bayern. Chat, I completely forgot about that, right? Bayern versus Barcelona. You got, where is it? Lewandowski hosting his old team. Hansi Flick hosting his old team. Lewandowski going back to Dortmund, this time as a Barca player. I have to say though, chat, I think the two teams that I really look at and say, damn, obviously there's a few, right? But I look at PSG. These 4 games, obviously whoever you draw out of pot 1, it's going to be tough. Maybe Leipzig was the team you really wanted to play out of pot 1. But Man City and Bayern, that's as tough as it gets. And then Atletico and Arsenal, probably the 2 toughest pot 2 teams. That's really unlucky for PSG. You think Liverpool have a hard draw? Yeah, it's not easy on paper. It's definitely not easy on paper. I agree with you. Who do we think are really the teams this year in the Champions League that you think could really do something? I have to say, chat, obviously Real, favorites. They've added, if not the best player in the world, one of them to already the reigning champions. And yes, it hasn't been the smoothest start to the season, but still, Real in this competition is like the perfect marriage. They're one of the favorites. Manchester City, the best got even better. I think they're a massive threat to this Champions League as well too. Liverpool and Champions League football are always a quality team. And you guys might say Klopp's not there anymore, but look, I was seeing Liverpool under Rafa Benitez. Well, I don't even want to disrespect Rafa Benitez, but years where Liverpool were not the best team in England or even top 2. They were barely making 4th. And still, when it comes to Champions League football, they were eliminating Jose's Chelsea. They were beating Ancelotti's Milan in the final. They were going to hosting Real Madrid at Anfield and battering them 4-0. Liverpool in the Champions League, this is very similar to Real Madrid, not to the extent, but they will always be a real threat to this competition. Inter, I think under Simone Inzaghi, are such a good knockout team. And obviously, they've matched that with an amazing league campaign that they had in Serie A this year. But Inzaghi is such a specialist, in my opinion, when it comes to knockout football. And I really think last year, obviously, they went out on penalties to Atletico, which is always unfortunate. But I'm a big believer that last year, if Inter had beat Atletico, they would have gone to the Champions League final yet again. I think they're that much of a threat when it comes to knockout football. I feel like Inzaghi navigates these competitions so well. I think Barcelona this year, with Hansi Flick, the way they've started the season, Lewandowski looks like a man on a mission at the moment. They obviously have the hottest property on the market in terms of Lamine Yamal. I would keep a huge eye on FC Barcelona this year. They've obviously had some disappointing exits the last few years in the Champions League, but this could be a year where they shock a few teams, man. Who else do we got in here? PSG, I said it already, tough couple of games for them, man. What can we expect from Arsenal? Tough 2 games in PSG and Inter, but they had that experience from last year. Obviously, the heartbreak against Bayern, where they still looked pretty good, but obviously last year was definitely a huge learning curve. First time European experience for a lot of those players. How can they do this year in the competition? Guys, Cam is saying the only downside he finds to this Champions League, or one of the only downsides, is the fact that if you finish 9th to 24th, you still have a chance to qualify for the round of 16. To that, I would say, if you remember last year, 32 teams, half of them go through. So
no, I'm not saying 9th is issue for 9th.
Yeah.
But for example, if I'm 9th and I have to play 24th in a playoff round, because they have to have 2-leg playoff game, and 24th, it's not going to happen much.
So you're saying 24th shouldn't even have a chance in this competition?
Yeah, like you see in the playoffs, it's 3rd to 6th.
Yeah, 3v6. Yeah.
I mean, 9 to 24, that's like 15.
That's true. Places. But I guess what we really have to see, and like I said, guys, Cam's biggest issue with the Champions League is that if you finish 9th to 24th, the fact that the 24th ranked team out of 36 still has a chance and is going to have to play a 9th team who basically they could finish 10 points above them and they're still playing them. It's a bit unfair for the 9th team. But I think what we have to see as well, too, what's the points deficit between 9th and 24th? Like, how much is in between them? Like, it could be, bro, looking at these games, that you finish 24th based on, like, 1 point. You might even miss this competition. You might even miss 24th by, like, 1 point or even goal difference. So it could be a lot closer.
And to be honest, I don't think it will happen much of the team that finished 24th, the team that finished 9th. Like, the chance of that is mad.
But think about it like this, right? So
they have even chance.
But think about it like this, right? There's 8 teams that are in pot 1. Therefore, Arsenal, Atletico, AC Milan, Leverkusen, they're in pot 2. So let's say it's not going to happen, right? Let's say all 8 pot 1 teams finish 1 through 8. Arsenal, the best they could finish from there is 9. Arsenal could face the 24th team, and they could go out like that.
That's mad, though.
That's crazy.
That's like Arsenal could end up playing Slavan or something that are 24. Arsenal could be 1 point off 8, and 24th could be 1 point off 25th, and they have even chance.
But I hear my chat as well too. My chat's saying if they lose though, that's on them. Like,
no, it is. That's the harsh reality of football. But it's just a bit mad. I don't know.
Me personally, Cam, I feel like there's too many teams. I actually like the format. Like, I'm seeing now all these sick games that we can have at the start. I love that because now we don't have to watch the group stage. It became a formality after a while. So I like the format, but I feel like 36 teams, we didn't need this. Like, I don't know why we needed to add another 4 teams personally. Yeah, just some closing thoughts on this, chat. I have to be honest. I like the format. I really think that it's added some spice. It's added some life to the Champions League. Like, look, everybody is talking about this. Everybody is talking about Arsenal playing Inter. Like, I feel like in the last few years of the Champions League, the group stage, it gets announced. And it's like, okay, we're the 2 teams that are going to go through. And maybe once in a while, you got a shock with Copenhagen beating United, if you even want to call that a shock. It's kind of been straightforward and predictable. This, all of a sudden, makes me want to watch almost every single Champions League game. So congratulations to UEFA, and I'm really, really looking forward to the Champions League. So let me know favorite games down below or in the chat. What games are you really looking forward to seeing? Who do you think had the toughest draw? Who do you think has been given a lifeline? And who are your Champions League winners for this season? Let me know.